Hello, it's been a while, and we have some housekeeping to take care of. You see, my videos are generally harsh and filled with hefty criticisms that can often be considered hot takes. As expected, there will generally be a lot of pushback against these hot takes in the comments. However, there's one rebuttal I keep seeing that bothers me more than the rest. Said rebuttal includes takes like, I'm overreacting because it's just a movie, or they ask me why I care so much because it's not a big deal, or they tell me to calm down because even though the movie is bad, it's not as bad as I say it is. Frankly, it's this sort of tepid attitude that got us into this current Hollywood sludge fest in the first place. These people get paid stupid amounts of money to serve you mediocre at best or rock bottom disaster at worst. And then you just sit there and go, I'm okay with this. These movies aren't that bad though. Why are you so harsh? Why shouldn't I be? What benefit of the doubt have these colossal billion-dollar corporations earned for me to approach their products with any amount of optimism or goodwill? There was a time not too long ago in which Hollywood would crank out hit after hit with seemingly no limit for how good things could be. But now those days are over because both them and yourselves have become complacent with mediocre slop. As films get worse, you become more lenient with what you put up with to the point where you'll just enjoy anything, whether it's good or not, so long as it shares the same name with something else that you like. Never mind the fact that what you're being fed is equivalent to soggy wet dough. As long as it's consumable, you'll eat it. It's gotten so bad to the point where you people tricked yourselves into thinking that the prequels were good. But I'm sorry to tell you, they aren't. They are terrible films. And we criticized them correctly at the time because we had better things to compare them to. But movies have gotten so bad now that you're willing to grasp at anything as long as it's not the worst thing. And in your desperation, you've forgotten just how good things could be. The prequels could have been so much better than what we got. The sequels, Endgame, Wonder Woman, Black Adam, The Snyder Cut, No Way Home, Kenobi, Wakanda Forever. All these films, shows, and so much more could be so much better than what we currently have. But instead of maintaining high standards for what you consume, you'll get mad at me for calling out something you wanted to like for what it really is. Tepid. If you don't believe me, then let's walk through a couple examples. Imagine a prequel trilogy where the scripts had more than one draft, and the characters talked and behaved like real relatable human beings. Imagine a balance between practical and digital effects, where sets and characters could feel more grounded and real in spite of how alien they may appear. Imagine Darth Maul lives past his first film and has a proper arc, instead of having the biggest ass-pull of a survival story in fiction.
No, it makes sense. He survived because he got really mad.
Imagine General Grievous behaving the same way he does in the cartoon. Imagine midichlorians never existing. Let's try another one. Imagine a Justice League with an actual backstory, where events are actually built up instead of being vaguely referenced for cheap brownie points. Imagine the perfect actor for Superman actually getting used properly.
The future's what matters, and bringing hope, optimism, and joy to the character.
Imagine a mature, cunning Lex Luthor that could rival someone as powerful as Superman despite being a mere mortal, instead of this smelly fish of a mistake. Imagine a Deathstroke cameo that actually leads to something instead of selling an empty promise. Imagine a cast that isn't full of total psychos. Let's even look at Civil War, a film I actually consider to be good in isolation, but it could have been so much more. Imagine it having the scale large enough to actually be considered a war, instead of having a scale smaller than a football game. Instead of a short, friendly skirmish, imagine there were real stakes with real casualties. Imagine if we got to spend more than one film on this story arc, and we actually got to see a steady progression of old friends, escalating to rivals, escalating to enemies, as the morals on both sides get increasingly skewed as each side gets more desperate to win. Have I made my point? Man, you people have no idea how amazing these films could be. If only you would just stop eating shit. But no, these people just dump all over you time and time again because they know you'll thank them for it. That's not to say that every film needs to be perfect to be considered good. Even the best films have some flaws. I'm just trying to point out that these things aren't good simply because they're all we currently have. It's okay to like these characters, these franchises, and it's even okay to enjoy these films, as long as you understand the objective faults within them, and acknowledge that better stories could be told. Especially in situations where a golden framework for said stories already exists and is just waiting to be copied from. DC fans, it's time you let go of Zack Snyder. I know you've had it rough for a long time, and Stockholm Syndrome has set in pretty deep, but he's not your man, and your films could be much better than what he's capable of. Trust me on that. Marvel fans, understand that the glory days are over, and the people in charge are doing the bare minimum to pump out their products as quickly as possible with the least amount of effort because they know you'll show up and consume whatever they deliver no matter how rotten it is. The evidence for this is astounding. Just open your eyes. They abuse their VFX artists. They begin filming before a script is even written. They fire any and all free-thinking directors. If you think that they have any interest in the art of storytelling at this stage, then you're kidding yourself. Stop throwing your money at them until they start giving a shit again. But to be honest, Marvel will likely get sold again before that ever happens. Star Wars fans, man, I don't even know what to say at this point. You might as well just give up. If you think that the Boba Fett show or Kenobi were the least bit decent, then I'm afraid you're probably too far gone. This brand used to be the biggest film franchise in the world. Now it's barely recognizable. You can't even watch the original films in their untainted forms without needing to rely on the dark web. And for anyone else who enjoys the art of film, I would ask you to separate your desire for nostalgia and for your desire to enjoy films from your objective view on how good these current films actually are. It's okay to want to like things and to be a passionate fan, but it's not okay to thank people for serving you crap and then getting angry at others for calling them out for it. If a film is a masterpiece, we won't have to debate its quality. There are examples of many, many films that are unanimously beloved. Unrealistic expectations are a myth, and it's not a valid defense. There is a plethora of evidence to support this claim. I understand that you want to like these characters, their stories, and the worlds they inhabit, so you're more forgiving with your criticisms as a result. However, you need to understand that the current people making these films don't care. They don't care. They only make these films because they know you're easy money. Consider this a wake-up call. Just okay or just good enough is not enough when you're seeking out the best. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Things could be far better. Things have been far better. They can still get better again. We just have to decide what we're willing to put up with and where we draw the line. If you allow your standards to remain low, then things will never get better. If you keep telling the people in charge that this is what you like, then more of this is all you're going to get. If you hate what I said, that's fine, just as long as you heard the message. If you know anyone that's part of the problem and needs to hear this, please share this video around. This video was pretty negative, so the next one will be a little more optimistic. Toodles.